I'm Kaelyn Moore, and welcome to The Attic, where we talk about the internet's dark curiosities. So, the internet seems abuzz with people talking about supposed time travelers. I mean, this is not new. People have been talking about time travelers on TikTok since the app started. But now we're seeing a new strange wave of time travel videos. People both claiming to be time travelers and to have seen time travelers in their own backyards. So what's really going on? Are people actually traveling through time? And if they are, will someone please tell me why they keep coming to 2024? Let's get to the bottom of this. But before we start, if you enjoy this content, you should like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a dark video of my creation. So let me ask you this. What would you do if you saw a time traveler enter the shed in your backyard? Would you A, ask them to stop some horrific historical event from happening, B, ask them what the heck they're doing in your shed, or C, make a TikTok about it? This past April, user Alex Shaw on TikTok posted a video claiming he thought a man had come onto the property he owned in Florida to rob him, but he quickly realized that the man wasn't a thief. He was potentially a time traveler.
Time travel. Yeah, time travel.
So a quick recap of this video is that Alec got a notification from the property's surveillance camera that this man had come onto the property he owned and walked around a little bit, and then he went into a shed in the backyard. Not knowing what to do, Alec called the police, who came over and saw that the shed was in fact empty. But Alec had watched the footage the entire time, and it never showed the man leaving the property. Luckily, Alec wasn't at the property. He was somewhere else and just watched the whole thing happen on his phone. But if it were me and I watched a man go into my shed and disappear, I would be freaking out.
I'm freaking out here.
That's kind of like when you walk away from a spider to get some paper towel and you come back and the spider's gone and it's like, okay, now that you're out of my eyesight, this is actually worse.
Where'd it go?
But to Alec, that meant that the man had somehow traveled through time. And people in the comments were not buying this. Look at this guy here says, okay, but why was your first thought when someone went into your shed time travel? I would have thought tunnels or portals. You just immediately jumped to time travel and that's why you're sus. Yeah, why would you think it's time travel? It's clearly a portal to another dimension. And then this other person just says he's still in the shed clinging to the roof. Okay, that's worse. But then Alec had an update for us. He claimed that days later, he actually caught the man leaving his shed on camera. But get this, he was about 40 years older. This is the image of the guy that Alec caught walking into his shed, and this is the guy that he caught walking out. He claimed that this little detail proved that the man was, in fact, a time traveler.
I totally time traveled.
So, I'm not gonna lie, yes, this does actually kind of look like the same guy. It's not even just the glasses that are getting me. His bone structure and his hairline are actually kind of the same. And I seem to not be alone in this. This definitely had the internet a little bit more convinced. Like this person here says, honestly, if he's not a time traveler, it's still weird that some young guy went into your shed and some old guy came out of the shed the next day. And then this person goes, which I agree with, who would willingly come back to 2024? And then another person said, can you ask him if Bitcoin's going to 100K or not? I need to buy. So I looked into this guy a little bit because I wanted to know if he does gimmicks on TikTok. And it looks like before this, Alec actually worked in real estate. Here he is talking about a deal he did flipping a house.
This is a check for $493,000.
And here he is talking about seeing Tony Robbins for $10,000.
I spent $10,000 to see Tony Robbins in person. I was row 4.
But neither of those things are really all that gimmicky. But he was definitely trying to build a presence on TikTok. So some people thought that this really ruined his credibility, as if he was just doing this to get people to want to stay in his Airbnb. But wait, it does get crazier. In a more recent update, Alec actually claims that through reverse image search, he was able to find out that the man looked exactly like a man named Stephen Miller. And that guy went to Harvard and was obsessed with the idea of time travel. Stephen died in 2018, but Alec had found interviews where he talked about being interested in time travel. Here's the thing. I do believe in time travel. Many scientists do as well. It's not a ridiculous thing to say that time travel is real and is a thing we can possibly do.
Time travel, time travel.
The only problem is right now, science mostly agrees that we can only go into the future. We can't jump around into different times and different timelines like we're in Rick and Morty.
Is time travel possible?
We can definitely travel into the future by moving faster relative to everybody else. The tricky part comes if you want to go into the past.
So is this man jumping back and forth in time through this man's shed? Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, these next clips come from a TikTok user who has kind of taken the internet by storm. He goes by Jim Official. You may have seen his videos floating around, but he claims that he's a time traveler who goes to different times in recent history and brings back video evidence. Like, let's look at a recent clip of his.
Guys, I am here in 1984. As you can see behind me, there's Taco Bell. Look at this, 1984, guys, Taco Bell.
Okay, can I first just say that I love how he goes back to 1984 and like doesn't pick up a newspaper. He doesn't like show one of those classic Reagan Bush election posters to prove that he's actually in 1984. No, he immediately goes to a Taco Bell, you know, the restaurant that still exists. Actually, what he should do if he really wants to prove that he was at a Taco Bell in the past is to look at the menu, because Taco Bell menus used to be so different from the ones we have today. Like, look at this one from the 1970s. They had like 5 things on the menu and one of them was a cheeseburger. Needless to say, once again, most people on the internet did not think that this was real. Like, this person just goes, unemployed friend on a Wednesday. And then another guy goes, you're in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then another person goes, show me a Radio Shack and a phone booth. Well, you're actually in luck because Jim doubled down. He wanted to prove that he was in fact a time traveler. So this time he went to a Radio Shack and a payphone to prove to commenters that he was in the past.
Guys, I'm in 1998. As you can tell behind me, I'm at Radio Shack. Let me show you something. My flashlight here. Radio Shack. You see that? Radio Shack. Check it out. This is right across the street from the Radio Shack. A payphone. A freaking payphone, guys, just like you wanted to see.
So once again, people were largely unconvinced that Jim was actually time traveling. But at this point, people kind of start telling him to do something if he is in the past. Like this person here goes, please, could you find Wendy and tell her I didn't stand her up? Oh, that poor guy. And then another person goes, go to 97 and tell Biggie not to get in that car with Puff. And then Steffi goes, go to 1995 and tell Selena to stay away from Yolanda. Like, yeah, Jim, go do something if we're already in the past. Okay, so obviously I don't think that Jim is a time traveler, but what I will say is that I do want a list of the vintage fast food joints that he's visiting. He's not a time traveler, but he is kind of this like cool curator of vintage restaurant decor. Like, look at this Pizza Hut. They used to have stained glass hanging lights. Like, I want to go visit that one that he's in. And maybe this would have been totally harmless if that's all that Jim was doing. But he tries to make predictions for the future to further prove his credibility, and they are truly so wild. Like, here's Jim predicting that we'll be able to buy nukes, nuclear weapons, in Bass Pro Shop later this year.
Able to walk into like Bass Pro Shops and they'll literally have like nukes.
And then Jim also goes on to say that Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos are going to start hoarding these nukes that they buy at Bass Pro Shop.
Like a nuclear weapon.
Totally. And in that video, I think he also says that later this year, a guy's going to be caught dressed as Santa breaking into people's homes. So I don't know, maybe that does happen. Like, tag me in the video if it does, because maybe he is right. I'm not bringing up these videos as a way to dunk on the idea of time travel. I said it before, but I fully believe we have the ability to travel through time. But I just think it's funny that some people believe the best proof we have of time travel is on TikTok. But what do you think? Is time travel real? And if so, are we seeing people do it on social media? Leave a comment below to tell me what you think. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for coming to my attic, and I'll catch you next week. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, stay curious.